Hey, everybody, it's Reggie with Lawyer Interviews. And today we have the honor of talking with Terrelle Bynum, who is an attorney out of Houston, Texas. Hi, Terrelle. How are you?
Hey, how are you? So happy to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. And, we're excited to be talking first and foremost about some memes. We're going to do something a little bit different. And you have been kind enough to share some memes with us. And we want to get to Terrelle's favorite memes, if that's okay.
Yeah, because I spend way too much time, don't let my firm know, but way too much time looking at memes in the day. So yeah.
It's a love language memes, especially legal memes. It's like lawyer Valentines to each other.
It's it's validation. It's like you understand me.
Yeah, like we suffer the same pain and agony, and we just relate to that pain and agony. Exactly. All right. Well, let's start with this first one you sent. It's, the dudes from Suits. I haven't seen that show. I need to see it. They're like office lawyers versus Zoom lawyer. And the guy's wearing like almost hot shorts.
Yeah. There's two things. One, I have not watched Suits either because when I hear about the main character, I hate that. He's like this amazing attorney and not even really an attorney. Forget
Right.
that. I am an attorney, and I'm like, okay, it's whatever. So then this really makes me think about like fashion and what the pandemic has done to the law. Because when I wanted to be an attorney, I was like, man, I'm gonna wear a suit every day and do all this. And then the pandemic hit, and I recognized that the guy on the right is a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
He does the same job, gets it all done. But I just wonder, what is the future of lawyer fashion? Because right now it is definitely comfort over look.
It is. And I've had the weird experience of being on Zoom calls. Now, granted, luckily, I've never done it. Like if I'm in sweatpants and business on the top, sweatpants on the bottom. But I've seen people stand up and they're like legit wearing, like plaid pajama pants. And I'm like, oh, I can see you. But it's a new thing. It's a new frontier.
It's great because it adds a human aspect to the law, which is needed sometimes.
Yes.
Now, during the pandemic, we were like really in it. I saw people who didn't move their adult beverage out of the screen too. And I was like, wow, right. It's one of those days. It's 9 a.m., man.
Right. You're like, it's 8 a.m. But we're lawyers. We're lawyers.
Yeah, I get it.
Awesome.
Just move it to the side.
Yeah, exactly. Just move it. All right. The next one is another one that's fun. It's like, me, fine. I'll just do all my work tomorrow and me tomorrow. I mean, that one that's me right
there. It really is. I mean, every day I do this. I make this nice to-do list and I color coordinate it. It is great. I walk in the office feeling inspired. By the end of the day, I'm so tired. I'm like, I'll do it when I get home. Then I get home and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna wake up first thing in the morning and get to it. Same thing.
You don't do it, do you?
No.
No, we never do. We never do. And then it just is like that always anxiety, and then we go to therapy.
Exactly. Yeah, please go to therapy. So, but that's also part of law. I mean, even from law school, where there was just too much work to complete every task. I feel like you have to get used to working in the gray area to recognize that I'm going to give my best every day, but there's no way I'm going to complete all my tasks. And that's okay.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I've been there. All right. The next one is one of my favorite characters of all time is Donkey from Shrek. And it's like lawyers, when clients start talking about their personal life during the client meeting. All right. Tell me why you resonate with this one.
This one, I mean, it's everything. So I started as a public defender. And so, I really had to start building relationships with clients because, if I treat one poorly, they go back to lock up or whatever, and they tell everyone. If you do well, then that reputation spreads. And when I moved to family law, people are a lot more sensitive, and I was a little bit more jaded because I'm like, you're not facing jail time. Like, why are you crying? But I recognized that wasn't getting me anywhere in my cases. Right. And so I went from there to the end point of some clients just needed me to just sit there with them and say it's okay. And I had to figure out how to do that and not take it home. There was one client I had where I literally, every 2 weeks, I would just call him and put it on speakerphone, put my phone on mute, and he would just rant for 20 minutes. Just rant. And every 5 minutes, I would just say, it's okay. And then mute, and he would go on. And he was okay with that. We actually bonded after that because I gave him his time to speak. He got off his chest, and then he was happy. We talked about baseball.
Right. Okay, confession, I do that with my mom. I totally do. She's like, do you have a second? And I say no. And then she goes in. I'm like, okay, here, we're just going to put this over here. She has no idea, but now she will, but it's fine. It's fine. Quick question about that too. Like it is such a different need base from criminal to family. And, the time spent, would you say that you spent a lot of time being, both a counselor at law and felt like a counselor, like a therapist?
Yes. And it's hard. It's really hard to do that because, we take on people's trauma as our own.
Right.
And you have to be able to find your comfort space to compartmentalize and realize that it's their trauma, it's not yours.
Right.
And you're getting the job done, but still have a human side to recognize it's like a very low point in someone's life. And even if, because you have an objective viewpoint, it's ridiculous, they're ridiculous, and it's their place and they're dealing with it. And that's a work in progress.
Right.
But I think knowing that can allow you to be more effective. I mean, yeah, you kind of have to be a counselor, which isn't what everyone really signed up for, but it allows you to be a more effective advocate.
Right. Well, and you brought up an interesting point, and I'd love to ask you your advice here is not taking it home with you. I haven't quite still figured that one out. I mean, any tips?
That's really rough. It's really rough, but having a schedule of your things and your time to do things. When I met my now wife, she was the first person who kind of got me out of my space. And without judging me, I was like, I'm going to go out and do things and have fun. Oh, there's life and I can smile.
Yeah.
So that helped, but just having your set schedule where if I want to work out, if I want to go out and hang with my friends, I'm going to do that regardless of the work I have. There's no I have this to get done tomorrow. I'm going to stay up all night and do work. Right. You have to go to that first meme of, I'll do it tomorrow. Right. That is actually very helpful mentally to just be able to put something off and live and be present for a moment.
Right, exactly. And I think new lawyers, especially when I was a new attorney, I thought everything had to be done immediately and, time is always of the essence. And I kind of got lost. I lost my boundaries. And I don't know if you went through that, but I know a lot of young litigators do. And so I think that's such a good piece of advice is set a schedule and stick to it. It's okay. It's okay to have your own thing.
I know, definitely. And especially as a young attorney, I mean, I was all fire. I was going to fight. I was getting in a fight with everyone. Everyone was my enemy. They had it out for me. And I had to really learn the hard way. You catch more flies with honey and pick your battles. Not every opposing counsel is against you per se. You got just two attorneys that have opposing clients.
Right.
But you can find middle ground and meet and be fine.
Right.
So, but that's easier said than done because opposing counsel can be very annoying very easily and very quickly. So, we just got to deal with everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've had the experience where they're either just not noteworthy for me to, they're cordial or whatever. And then I've had my lifetime nemesis, so I mean, there's no in between with me and opposing counsel, one or the other.
I had this district attorney who I went against, and I thought she was the devil reincarnated, right? I just knew it. And so we would go so hard against each other. I mean, I would go home, take a nap, and wake up from 8 and work till midnight, and then do it all again the next morning. Just to prepare, just to beat her.
Yes.
And I never saw her blink or sweat or anything. We were just at it. And then after she got moved to another court, one of her coworkers told me she would go back to the office and cry every day after working. I was like, oh my gosh, we're just sitting here traumatizing one another, for what?
Right, right. Yeah, both of you need therapy after that. And you're like, what was it all for? What was it for?
So if you're listening, I'm sorry. But I hope that I won.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a lot of lawyers will say, oh, you got to get along with opposing counsel. And I agree. You got to be professional and treat people well. But sometimes they're the biggest assholes. And you just can't get around that. Even if you're playing nice, if they're rolling in the mud, eventually you're going to have to get down in the mud a little bit because you've got to help your client.
And that's the code we live by, right? You can be a very nice person, but sometimes you have to be ruthless for your client. I mean, that's just the code, the oath we took, and that's where the respect and honor comes in this profession, which is kind of weird because from the outside looking in, it looks bad, but like to be able to put someone else's interest and needs above your own, that's very admirable.
Right.
Especially when you may not agree with it, in your personal life, but the law allows you to do it and law, protects it. So you have to pursue for your client.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's such an interesting way of reasoning too, because you mentioned that you had practiced criminal law and criminal defense work. And I know I did a little bit of criminal defense work in law school. And, all the questions like, how can you represent people that have done X, Y, Z? And you're like, I'm here to protect their rights, the process. You don't have to, and you don't want to know half the time, but you don't have to agree with the acts in which they're charged with. But like, you have to be there to support their rights and make sure that their rights aren't trampled on because it happens.
Yeah, no, exactly. I feel like, okay. Yeah. So it's even just for the sake of argument, assuming that, the person, the victim is that it happened and this person is the, person who did it, you want to limit it to one victim. You don't want to create two victims of the system, right? Or of life or whatever. You want to keep it one victim and the system does what it's supposed to do and find justice, right? But I do think that my experience with criminal law had really expanded on my empathy and my compassion, which has let me go so much further in the law and practice different fields and do, pretty well just because I had more tolerance and understanding for people.
Right.
And that we're all human. Like no one's perfect. We all make mistakes, and we all have things we've done on our worst days, and we hope no one finds out about. Right. So
absolutely,
these are just people who you found out. So it is what it is.
It's so true. It's so true. This is really good advice. I'm taking a lot from this as well. All right, we're gonna go to the next meme. All right. So it says, what's the word for when you're very smart but can't remember anything and know literally nothing? A law school graduate.
I actually LOL, like I laughed out loud when I saw this. I remember feeling that way. Like I was so focused for the bar and I felt like, man, I know how to learn. I can learn fast. I can learn a lot. And then after the bar, for California, I had to wait 4 months. I felt like the most useless tool ever. It's like, well, what can you do? I can learn things.
Yeah.
That's
like,
it.
I can read stuff for the attorney and then hand them. Like I can't do anything with it yet.
So yeah, definitely. Yeah, it got me my feels because I relate to it, and also I really hope there will be a change in legal education at some point. I do think that a lot of the theory is necessary, but there needs to be a stronger focus on practical, the actual practice. By the time you finish your third year, law school is too expensive to not have any experience.
Right.
Like we're past the age of you have a law degree, you have a job. Now it's like you're a nobody, past the bar. So.
Right. You passed a test, but you have no practical, no reasoning experience, no application, and exactly, you're not an asset to a firm without those. So I agree completely. And schools that give that kind of experience, I think, are so amazing because even I had a few of those clinics, but even with those, when I graduated, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, what are ROGs? I'm like, ROGs? What do you mean ROG? And interrogatories. Oh my God. Like even lawyer lingo. I'm like, what's a ROG? I don't know what a ROG is.
That's so funny. I had that exact moment when my first assignment as a contract attorney, they were like, yeah, I want to send you some ROGs. And I'm like, Google, what are ROGs? Law.
Yeah. You're like, I don't remember this. What's a ROG?
Oh, yes. And I think also attorneys or law students should know how to run like the business side of it. Like that should be a required course because all these lawyers, are trying to find jobs and all that. I get it. Running a business is difficult and terrifying, but all this money we pay for law school, they could show us how to, right? They give us a course or two,
Right. Well, and lawyers, for maybe those watching that might not know, like there's some extra added layers with IOLTAs, what they can, every state's different of what you can do with client retainers and funds, and you can't commingle things. It's not just, send the invoice and get paid. We've got a lot of ethical rules, and that's, like, in my opinion, the number one way attorneys get in trouble is violation of, payment.
Agreed. It's not anything that was like from bad intentions. It's literally a lack of knowledge or ignorance, which is sad because you don't want to sit there as an attorney, but it's true. I mean, with a law degree, you can practice any type of law. There's no way you're gonna know every law or every regulation. So you're already going in, behind
Right.
the ball.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I agree completely. All right. Okay. So then I love
this interview. We're just on the same
We're
page.
just having fun. I love it. All right. Lawyers are going to be replaced by computers. A computer can't go golfing with the judge.
This was a good one to me because one, I am such a cliche. Like now I'm like, oh, I love golf now. I'm horrible at it, but I play it as if I'm semi-pro.
Right.
But to me, made me think about how, especially over COVID, like, oh, they're going to automate law and do all this. But I mean, maybe on some low level things, but there's just certain complexities or nuances of being a lawyer that you can't replicate, through a machine. Like that human component, being able to have relationships with judges or other attorneys, that is what really gets you far in the legal field. Mm-hmm. And that can never be changed through a computer or any automated system.
Absolutely. And, it reminds me of that saying, a good lawyer knows the law, a great lawyer knows the judge.
Exactly.
It's an old saying, but it's true. There's a lot of, even like the new, I guess, boom, I guess it's been around for over a decade, but like of, the places you can just put in stuff for like a easy will and trust or an easy contract. And I can't tell you how many clients I've gotten because those things have been messed up, like an easy trademark application, and then it's rejected. There's nothing easy. There's nothing easy. And a computer can generate things, but it can't reason. I mean, we're getting there. It can't reason though, like a human. And, I think the human component is very important because you're paying for a thinking on the spot service, and a computer can't do that.
Because the law just isn't black and white. I mean, there's the infamous answer, it depends. It does. Every situation is different. I literally had a caption for my post this week, and it was like, I hear what you're saying, attorney, but Google says, and everyone, my wife is the worst. But Google says, I'm like, I'm sure it does, but good luck with that. I'll leave it. Good luck with that.
Right.
We'll see. You let me know how that works out for you.
Right, exactly. I mean, but I've had family members, friends, clients. I Googled it. I'm like, good. I'm glad you Googled it. I don't care what it said. I don't want to hear what it said because it's wrong.
Now, with that being said, I do have to give the true, full transparency. When I hear something I don't know, I Google it. But it's only a frame of reference. Yeah. It's not the end all. It's to get me started on my path.
Right. And sometimes, like, look, I mean, depending on how big your firm is, if you can find the case for free online with Google, find it there rather than playing those prices are like crazy. So I get it. Like I Google stuff all the time. All right, next to me, I love this one too. It's Better Call Saul. 1 week of lawyering, Monday through Friday, and Monday he looks good, and Friday he's ready for a drink.
Yeah, that is, and it's every week is like that. And you like to think of it in like compound interest, like over the years you get better. But it can be rough, and it really, your friends see it, right? Your family sees it, and you just have to like muscle through it. But that's the name of the game, right? Like we get beat up pretty bad. You're taking on other people's baggage, and then we have their hired people to come after us too. So we take on a lot, but it's just like, what? At the end of that week, you're a badass.
Yeah.
Like, you made it. So I like that.
So too. And when you think about a lawyer, like what we do, we like hold and we argue other people's problems. And think of like that, but on steroids, because we're not just dealing with one person's problems. It's like 20. And it's like, that is taxing. It's weighing, it's aging me faster. I don't like that.
Really, I used to have this full head of hair and like these nice waves and everything. That just went out the window.
Right.
I caught it during the bar. I was like, Terrelle, because when I get nervous or like flustered and I'm trying to focus, start scratching my head. And I was like, Terrelle, you can either pass this bar or you can go bald. I chose the latter. And I knew it was going to happen. I tried to fight it after, but my fate was sealed. So it's what it is.
It is. But the added stress, it definitely contributed in my professional medical opinion, in which I have no credentials. So,
but I'll take it. Yes, stress. I mean, the stress is crazy, and I hope that I'll learn to deal with it even better as I go on. Because the better you get as an attorney, right, the more stress, the higher level cases, which is kind of like what you asked for, that means more stress.
Right.
So I just hope that I can look like Saul come Friday without all the bruises, right? So that's still tough guy look without all the bruises.
Maybe you can do the bruising this time. Like sometimes you get the bruises, sometimes you give them.
that should be his caption. Like, you should see the other guy. Yeah. Like that's it.
Yes, exactly. And litigators especially, they love to do that to each other. I mean, even if you're nice to opposing counsel, I mean, if I can serve discovery on Christmas Eve or something like that, I'll do it. I'm going to do it. I'm absolutely going to do it. Because,
Watch, there's so many ways to litigation. I mean, the people who act nice, they're like the worst ones.
They're liars. They're not nice. None of them are nice. None of them.
That's really what I do. I love to like blame my clients. Like, yeah, man, I think we should settle this. My client, I'll see what I can do, man. No promises. I'm with you though, but I don't know. If we want to get this done, I want to get rid of this case. I'm sure you do. It's a headache. I have my whole little spiel, and then we'll see. It's always whoever. It's like a game of chicken, right? You both play nice until one person gets upset,
right?
And then you just know it's on.
Exactly. It's exactly being. I think litigation, especially, it is a game of chicken. Up to trial, and then it's a coin toss because you never know how the jury's going to rule. You just don't.
Really don't. That's the funny part about it. Trying to advise a client, it's like, we have a very strong case, but I say trial is like a game. It's like gambling. What type of risk tolerance do you have? If you like to gamble, let's go for it. Let's roll the dice. But if you hate gambling, trial may not be for you.
Right.
Because I can't guarantee your answer. There's no warranty. There's no 30-day return. It is what it is. Like 30-day appeal, and that's even more expensive. So it's up to you.
Exactly. And clients all the time ask, what's the percent of chance you think we have of winning? Answer doesn't change, no matter the case, 50-50. Because you don't know if you've got a juror who hates your socks or your you don't know your shoes. You never know what's going to happen in that courtroom because the normal rules of gravity don't apply. The normal rules of anything don't apply because you just never know.
And I have to like double down on you saying a juror may hate your socks. Like that is actually completely factual. I used to be like the guy in the courtroom with the flashy socks and everything, and all the trial schools and clinics, they were like, Terrelle, stop wearing these flashy socks. Some people love them, but some people hate them. You want people to be neutral and care about what you have to say, because someone can be offended, like, oh, you high-class lawyer, I'm like, these socks were $10, man. This is not, I'm not willing to know, but you just never know what about your appearance can create someone to make a judgment. So yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely have altered mine too, like what I'll wear, even like the heaviness of my makeup, because it's like, you don't want to wear red lipstick or wrong color because you want to be focused on the case and things like that. We're human, jurors are human. And the first thing we do as humans is we snap judge based on appearance. And so, an attorney is no different, I think.
Yeah, no different. And it's funny because you don't even know, like I always try to pick out who I think the foreperson would be. Mm-hmm. I never get it.
Really? Ever?
I never get it. And like I have jurors, I have cases where the one juror is looking at me like, They come out and rule in my favor. And I'm like, and they were the foreperson, like, really? And then I've had cases where jurors are like, and I don't see it, and then they come back against me. I'm like, man, that's messed up. You
were nodding like you agreed with me the whole time.
And then you recognize they were just being nice. So yeah.
So have you interviewed then jurors after trials, taken that opportunity to speak with them?
Yes, I have. I always try to.
Yeah.
Win or lose, I think is helpful. And
Tell
I
us about
really,
that. Why do you think it's helpful?
because you never know how jurors are going to take the facts, right? You never know that, but you can learn what's important to a juror and what about you was important, and what about you may resonate with a juror or turn them away. I found that it's really changed my approach to voir dire,
Mm-hmm.
or in Texas, they call it voir dire. It's Latin. It's dead.
Voir dire. Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
it so many ways. Weird, dear.
So
Yeah, exactly.
I look that crazy when I say voir dire, whatever. So, but trying not to just be so quick to strike a juror or run away from a juror that may be difficult. I found there's a lot more opportunity to connect with those jurors. And that if you see a juror that starts off being contrary to you and you can connect with them and voir dire in just a few seconds, they may end up being one of your strongest advocates, back in the jury room. So it's really taught me to try to connect with people, which is actually the whole human component, what makes lawyers great and all that, and focus on that more so than all the facts, because people are concerned about people, in their name, right? So a jury is not going to take the facts the same way you do or I do. It's just not going to happen. So.
Amazing and true points. You can't disagree. Can't disagree there. All right, we're gonna head on to our last meme, which is the fun one. I love this. Law firm, we offer easygoing, no pressure environment, the environment. And it's, Kim Jong-un and his army.
Yeah, that's so good because, when you start a new job, right, the first week or two, you're kind of getting used to everything. You don't have a lot of work. So you're like, oh, this is great. I just see a future here, right?
Right.
And then once that work hits and the pressure hits and the expectations start coming in, it's like, my goodness, what happened? In the interviews, you were so nice.
Yes.
And it's really important to vet your firm just to make sure that you're a good fit and you all have the same things, because, in interviews, you may embellish, they may embellish, with all the best of intentions, but it sucks to be somewhere and recognize this is not a good environment for me. And I'm like, please help. I need to get out of here. Which I never have taken a job and just left quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to commit, and see through. But it's nice when you're not sitting here thinking like, oh, this new job, I want to take it. Or a recruiter hits you, it's like, no, I'm good.
Right.
That's a really good feeling.
Absolutely. And I think the vetting the firm, knowing what you're getting into is a big thing too. Not just, I think so many law students think, I just got to get the first job that takes me. Careful with that.
That's a very bad place to be in.
Yes. Because if it's what you want to do, great. But sometimes some firms have, a reputation for, grinding down the souls of these young associates and working them like, horses, and it's just so sad. It's just so sad. So
I already think that going to law school, you lose. This shows y'all like cool I am in the first place. I'm going to use the term cool points. It may also age me, but going to law school, you already lose a significant amount of cool points, aka social skills, right? You get out in the real world, you try to rebuild that. Like, hey man, I'm not that odd. I've just been in the library for 3 years.
I'm not weird.
So then you go to a bad work environment, that can wear down even more. You just I think the hardest part about being an attorney is you have to still have yourself, know who you are, because you're already dealing with other people's problems and issues, advocating on behalf of others, kind of more so than yourself. It's very easy to get lost in there. So you have to be able to keep yourself and find yourself, but and that's when you're in a bad work environment, that can be gone very easily.
Absolutely. And your relationships will suffer as a result. If it's with your kids, with your family, with, your friends, it does. It takes a toll on your entire life if you're not happy at work. So I completely agree.
My saying is, hurt people hurt people. Mm-hmm. Lawyers hurt people. Whoa.
Yes, that's true.
Friends who I've told this to, you know who you are. Yes. Lawyers hurt people. Man, those can be rough. And I say that out of experience, you know, when you try to like be around friends or date and you're not in a good space, it's like, who am I? But
the most toxic of people, the most. I love it. Well, Terrelle, it's been so great having you here today. And I would love for you, because you've got an amazing social media too. And I want our viewers to check out your videos and content. And you're a sharer of all the fun legal things. So please tell us where we can find you and what platforms.
Please, yeah. So you can find me at Attorney Terrelle Bynum on Instagram. And also my firm, Robert Smarkland, on Instagram as well, posting out a lot of good content. And I will soon be doing more on TikTok. We're getting there. Look at I'm attorney. It will be Attorney Terrelle Bynum on TikTok soon. So that's coming soon. But for now, stay tuned on Instagram. I give a lot of content on there.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Terrelle. And thank you, everybody, for watching Lawyer Interviews, and have a great day. See you next time.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks.